History holds the answers, or does it? From forgotten maps to ancient secrets buried in plain sight, the world's greatest mysteries remain unsolved, and the truth lies hidden, waiting for you to uncover it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Histories, Mysteries, and Conspiracies. Season 2, Unraveling the Unknown. Where the past isn't just a story, it's a puzzle. Are you ready to piece it together? The giver of every good and perfect gift has called upon us to mimic God's giving, by grace, through faith, and this is not of ourselves. Saint Nicholas. Who was the real Saint Nicholas? Part 3, His Dark Side. Introduction. Last episode, we uncovered the historic Saint Nicholas, the real man, the bishop, the protector, the champion of the vulnerable, and the spark behind the Santa Claus we know today. But we left one question wide open. Why did this one generous bishop from the Mediterranean become the most important figure in a holiday built around winter, a season he never even experienced? Why did Europe place him at the center of the coldest, darkest part of the year? The answer is much stranger than you might expect. Because before St. Nicholas took over December, winter had a ruler, a very old one, and it wasn't friendly. This is the forgotten story of the winter shadow, the dark side of Christmas that Nicholas was chosen to replace. Not so merry. Long before Christmas, long before Christianity, winter in Europe was a time of scarcity, fear, long nights, and an emotionally brutal uncertainty. Will the sun come back? Ancient people didn't just celebrate winter, they survived it. And in cultures from Scandinavia to the Alps, winter was personified as a predator, a judge, or a wandering force that punished the unprepared. Nothing about December was cute. Nothing about it was safe. This is important because it's the world St. Nicholas eventually enters. But first, we must understand what came before him. Dark visitors of midwinter. Across ancient Europe, winter was ruled by a variety of terrifying forces. The Yule Riders of Scandinavia. The Perchta, or Bright One, who could also turn monstrous. The Wild Hunt, a sky-born army of spirits led by Odin. The Kaliki, winter demons of Greece. Alpine winter spirits who punished, kidnapped, or judged children. Winter wasn't a season, it was a presence. And here's the key connection. These beings weren't just villains. They represented the fears, anxieties, and dangers that winter brought to real human lives. They were the winter shadow, the collective expression of everything winter symbolized. So where does St. Nicholas enter this picture? Right, here. Why Nicholas was placed in December? Most people think St. Nicholas was always connected to winter. He wasn't. Nicholas lived in what is now Turkey, a warm region. He never saw snow-dusted fir trees. He had nothing to do with winter culturally or geographically. So why is his feast day in December? Scholars believe it happened because winter was simply too frightening to leave unmoderated. Europe needed a figure who brought protection, symbolized hope, and countered the darker winter forces. They didn't need another punishing spirit. They already had dozens. They needed a shield. And St. Nicholas, known for charity, justice, and miraculous rescues, became the answer. He didn't replace the winter shadow. He balanced it. This is the turning point. Because from this moment forward, winter becomes a moral season. Not just a dark one, not just a dangerous one, but a season where goodness is rewarded, generosity is expected, community saves lives. St. Nicholas brought the light. But winter's darkness never fully went away, which leads us to the marriage of light and dark. When Nicholas became the protector of December, Europe didn't erase its winter mythologies. It simply did what humans always do. It merged them. That's why so many cultures developed a duo, the gift giver, and the punisher, the light and the shadow. This is where we eventually get later figures like Knecht Ruprecht, Belsnickel, Krampus, Zwarte Piet, in its very ancient form, not the modern controversy, the Alpine Schmutzli, The Yule Lads. These characters are not random. They are echoes of ancient winter spirits, reinterpreted, tamed, or attached to Nicholas. They represent the winter forces he didn't eliminate, but absorbed into his story. Nicholas was the moral center. These figures were the reminder that winter still had teeth. Together they formed the complete picture of winter: mercy and danger, warmth and cold, charity and judgment. This duality shapes the Christmas we know today. How this leads to Santa Claus. Here's the twist most people don't know. When Saint Nicholas eventually evolves into Santa Claus, he brings the light forward. But the winter shadow doesn't disappear. Instead, it survives in folklore, regional customs, old world traditions, and the strange, bizarre rituals that will appear in your episode 4. Santa Claus becomes the public face, the safe, joyful, modern symbol. But underneath him, in the deep roots of the holiday, the winter shadow still exists in Yule logs, wassailing, mumming, mariluid, Icelandic Yule creatures, alpine parades, Scandinavian winter trolls, and dozens of other traditions. You can't understand the weirdness of global Christmas traditions without first understanding this. Christmas did not replace the winter shadow. It adopted it. Which brings us full circle back to Nicholas. Why Saint Nicholas was the perfect winter counterweight. Saint Nicholas wasn't chosen by accident. He became the winter figure because he represented mercy in a merciless season, generosity in a time of scarcity, hope in the darkest nights, and protection during dangerous journeys. He was everything winter was not. And because he filled this role so effectively, he became Saint Nicholas, Sinterklaas, Father Christmas, Papa Noel, and finally, Santa Claus, the most iconic winter character in the world, born not from snow but from the need to balance the darkness of winter. Now that we've uncovered the winter shadow, the ancient darkness behind Christmas, everything is finally in place. Because in our final episode, we're diving straight into the world's strangest, wildest, and most unbelievable Christmas traditions. And trust me, once you've seen how deep the winter shadow runs, these traditions won't just feel weird. They'll make perfect sense. Bravo. Select an option for more.